Hi guys, welcome. Today we are going to be talking about the most essential terrain modeling materials. My first video was about the most essential terrain modeling tools, and in case you haven't seen this video, please go and check it out because all of the materials that I'm going to show you today are going to be processed and shaped with these exact tools. So these two videos are basically intertwined, and you're going to be needing both of these in order to start making your terrains. Now, terrain modeling is really an amazing craft, and it will require from you a lot of creativity and improvisation. This is going to be reflected with the materials needed for your terrain projects. And as the time goes by and you take bigger and bigger steps into terrain modeling, you will notice that your patterns of thinking are starting to change. This is something that experienced terrain modelers already know about, and you are going to basically look everywhere around you and start thinking about stuff that you see that you can use in your terrain projects. You will start looking at different electrical devices and different bits from them in a different way. You'll search your old sprues and bits for extra terrain details, and you will notice that you are starting to visit florist shops, DIY and craft stores more often than before. And also when you're in nature, you're going to start picking stones, different deadfall and pebbles and roots, all in an effort to bring your terrain projects to the next level. And in the long run, it's going to give you a great platform for creating wonderful little pieces of art that you can play your war games on. I'm not going to talk to you about all of these extra materials that we're going to use later on, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the most essential stuff that you can really observe as a perfect platform for all future add-ons in your terrain projects. So without further ado, let me show you the most essential terrain modeling materials. Okay guys, this is it. These are the most essential modeling materials that we are going to be using for most of our terrain projects. As you can see, they're really nothing special, and most of it is really easily available, or you already have it at your home. You may not need everything for your very first terrain project. However, the one thing that you will definitely need is going to be styrofoam, or insulation foam as it's known in the States. Now, this modeling material is actually a material for construction working, and it serves as thermal isolation material. It comes in different thicknesses and colors, and the only one that is available to me is pink one, and I use it in 5 centimeters, 3 centimeters and 2 centimeters thicknesses. I also have access to 1 centimeter thick blue foam, and all of these I use for 100% of my terrain models. With styrofoam you can build hills, rocky structures, ruined ships, statues, landing pads, undamaged buildings, you name it. It is very versatile material, and it is a lightweight and durable material, and as such it is absolutely amazing and perfect for terrain modeling. Next to it we have air drying modeling clay that I use to fill the gaps in between the elements once I glue them. I also use modeling clay to make smoother and better transition, more realistic transition between the terrain model and its base. And also when I want to suggest that portion of the terrain is buried, I'm using modeling clay to make large piles of dirt or ground around the terrain model. Next to it we have some rocks and some sand, and I usually like to use cat litter as well. I don't have it at the moment. However, there is no single natural piece of terrain that I've made and that I didn't use stone and sand as part of building and creating the realistic ground texture. These are great for providing your scenery elements with more uneven surfaces that is really close to realism as it gets, and I usually like to add a couple of clusters of big stones, then add a little bit of cat litter around, and then in the final stages I sprinkle some sand with some small pebbles around to fill in the gaps and to make even richer texture. Now, most of the construction sites that you probably stumbled upon, because wherever you are in the world you have construction sites around, If you ask them for a couple of boxes of sand, I'm sure that they will give it to you for free, and rocks you can find in your backyard or in the park, so all of these materials are really easily available. Cat litter can be found in pet shops, of course. Now, next material on our list is wood, and wood is going to be used in our terrain modeling projects in two different forms. One is industrially processed, such as popsicle sticks and barbecue sticks, as well as MDF board for bases. This is 3mm thick MDF board, although we are going to be using 6mm thick MDF board as well. And barbecue sticks are usually used for pinning terrain elements so that we ensure that they don't break during our war games, while popsicle sticks are excellent for some wood plating on fantasy buildings and furniture, as well as some obstacles and fences. So you should get some of these off of eBay for small cash. The other form of wood is of course natural one, and I usually go around the park or in my backyard and collect some with good looking and realistic texture. And when I say realistic, I really mean in scale of our terrains, and in 28mm scale actually. And I collect all of these so that I have them lying around, so when I'm working on some natural scenery elements I can add some of these branches and twigs, and they really improve the overall appearance and look of my terrain models. I also go to florist shops and buy some of these roots, which are really great for adding small trees and bushes to my terrain models, and with these I really improved the overall look of my terrain models. They look more realistic, more dynamic, more live, and thus they're more enjoyable to play with. Last, but definitely not the least item on our materials, is plastic. And here I have a couple of different examples that I'm going to show you today. However, as I already told you, throughout your terrain modeling projects you will start using more and more plastic that you find in your environment, whether PVC tubes or some portions of electric devices or whatever. However, for starters, get some plastic card in various thicknesses and collect your sprues with leftovers. These are going to be really valuable to you. No matter whether you are working on fantasy or sci-fi terrains, plastic card is useful material for adding details. I use thicker one for making furniture, doors, windows, stuff like that, while I use thinner one. This is 1mm thick plastic card. I use it for wall decorations, rooms, stuff like that, and really is the material that is good to have lying around because you can easily add more details to your terrain. When it comes to sprues, this is the first step in taking your terrain models to a new level and to make them thematic and in alignment with your army. For example, here I have a Chaos Space Marine sprue, and on it I have a couple of icons for Chaos Space Marines that I can use in various ways. I can make Imperial statue and then add some of these to make it desecrated and defiled by Chaos, or I can make a sacrificial site for Chaos Space Marines, or if I'm making Zone Mortalis board and I want to make Chaos Space Marine ship, I can use these as well as backpack and weapons to attach to walls and improve the quality of my terrain and the overall appearance. So as you can see, I showed you a couple of examples where you can use your sprues to add extra character and more definition to your terrain models, and these are going to really make your game more enjoyable when you have terrain that is in alignment with your army. Alright guys, so these were the most essential materials, and as you've seen, they are really nothing special. A lot of it is really easily available or even available for free if you get a little bit of an effort, and the other things that you need to buy really don't cost a lot, so getting into terrain modeling is really not expensive as it might seem at first sight. Now, as I already said it, all of these should be observed as a perfect platform for adding all other materials in our future terrain projects. However, these are going to be the very basis and the very core of everything else that we are going to be working on this channel. You will always need insulation foam for the core of your terrain. You will always need clay to fill in the gaps and to make better transition between the terrain model and its base. you will always need MDF for the base, and it is always nice to have some additional details, and sprues are really invaluable resource of these, because you can really add a lot of character by using only leftovers from sprues. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Next video is going to be about the most essential modeling techniques, and right after that we'll do most essential painting techniques, and right after we finish all of these instructional videos we are going to jump and start working on some really exciting scenery projects that will expand and improve our skills. Please subscribe my channel and stay tuned for the most essential modeling tutorials.